Hey guys, how's it going? Ghosty Rich here today, and today we are going to be putting a new exhaust on the fatbob. So let's take a quick look at what we had going on there.
As you can see, if we take a look, not a bad exhaust system. It actually looks really, really nice.
This is the brand of the exhaust that we're going to be putting on the bike today. And if you want a part number, it is right here. This is all the information you need. I did get a couple exhaust gaskets just in case. This bike is basically brand new. The exhaust gasket shouldn't be in bad shape, but you know what? Why not? Either way, I really loved the look of this stock exhaust, by the way. I just wanted to try something different because everyone just switches out those tips. And don't get me wrong, just swapping out those tips makes all the difference, and it looks and sounds really, really good. But like I said, I wanted to try something a little different. I have the garage door open, so I apologize for that road noise. The reason why we have the garage door open is because the next thing I want to do is do a reminder of what this stock exhaust sounds like. And then you'll have something to compare it to later. So first thing that we need to do, turn the bike on, give it a second. And then after we do that, perfect. Let's give it a couple revs, why don't we? So at least this way you have something to compare to. As you can see, this bike only has 12 kilometers on it. Let's turn it off, and what we're gonna do next is let it cool down, and then we're gonna start swapping stuff out. Alright, so for the removal, let's say you're just going to do the tips. All you would end up doing is pulling out all these T27s, I believe they are. And once you pull out those T27s, that shroud comes off, and then you would take these bolts off. After you do so, these tips would be sort of free. But what you'd actually also need, since we're removing the entire exhaust, I can show you this. We have a 3/16 Allen key. It's going to go down here. It's going to go in, and we're just gonna loosen these bad boys up from down here. Go ahead, pull those out, and that should free up this pipe from being attached to the frame. Once these two Allen keys are removed, let's go ahead and quickly remove these. Now, if you want to make this nice and easy work and you have an impact, these are not in there that tight. Just go ahead, loosen them up, all 6, and this will allow us to remove this heat shield out of the way, which makes it a little bit easier when removing the exhaust. It also keeps this finish nice, just in case you want to keep it stored. Then you can wrap it in some bubble wrap if you want. Also makes the end pipe, when we take this all off, much lighter and easier to transport. All right, I've loosened those all up. I don't need you to watch me take all the way out, so just take those all out and we'll move that plate off to the side. That's one of these nuts. Let's go down to the bottom. Get this one as well. Once you've loosened it enough, it should just be really loose, obviously, and up to you how far you want to go with this, slide it down there, and little twisting back and forth goes a long way. And then wiggle. It will come, it just takes a little bit. Oh, there, yeah, it's coming. She's a tight, which is good. It's coming, just really, really slowly. I can see it moving along the letters on the exhaust, because the exhaust at some point had print on it. So if you don't want to mess with these, which I think is better just not to, go ahead and slap on that 5/16, put it on right here, and we're just gonna crack her loose. When you take this off, we'll be able to use that whole piece to kind of wiggle and shimmy this out. And it'll be way easier to attach if you're gonna do tips. And even if you're not, and you're doing the full exhaust system like mine, this bracket has to come out anyway because we're replacing it. So I put this one off to the side because we will be reusing it. And oh, down we go. Perfect. So now that I have that kind of sitting right here for a second, and it's off to the side, now technically you can wiggle this pipe out of there. Once you've popped those two off, you can take these clips and leave them here if you are sliding on your new tips. If you're sliding on the new tips, see if they attach to this bracket still. If they do, of course, tie the top one on first, then put your new tip on. If not, you can always reattach this and then slide your tips on afterwards. For me, since I'm removing the entire exhaust, from this point, I've got it down to here. I'm gonna pull out those header bolts right off the motor. Is a 13 mil on a wobble extension. And then we get the fun of finding out the best way to get around these. So as you can see, this right here, under our adjuster, right on that bolt, go ahead and we'll crack that one loose. Over here, we're gonna come up and this will just squeak in there, right about there. Might have to flex it around the shield there, but that right there is how we'll get that one. So yeah, just crack those two loose. If you're looking right here, this right here is your O2 sensor. It's right behind your dial. What you wanna do is get your fingers back here, and you're going to feel for that little compression tab on the bottom right here. You're gonna squeeze and pull out. Again, squeeze and pull out. Your last one, which is right here, if you track it down to the bottom of the frame, right here, right beside where these cooling fins are, you'll feel it. And again, it's right here. This side, not a big deal. You don't really have to worry. If you want to, you can remove the heat shield, but I was able to get that side without getting the heat shield. This side though, I have to say, it's a little more tough. I highly suggest getting this clamp, loosening it up. If you can, loosen it off all the way if you want to remove the heat shield all the way. There'll be one more clamp right here. Get both clamps, that one and this one. Once you do that, you can manipulate this and move it all the way around. If you want, like I said, remove these clamps completely and you might be able to remove this completely. Yeah, you should be able to. So I'm probably gonna do that. Just because if we get this out of the way, we'll be able to get that bolt no problem. Once the heat shield's off, 13 small on a swivel, and let's see if I can get it in there. Just like that. Just work it on. Get the right angle, right there. And then we'll turn it with a ratchet, and that's how you get that back bolt. I just wanted to show you how I'm holding this. See, I'm holding it away from the frame so it's not going to hit the frame. And then from there, I loosen it, and then now I can actually pull this off the ratchet because it's so loose. After we do that, that last one, well, we don't even need that. This will just go up and in there without there, and then you can just take that one out just like that and take it right out. After that, our pipes are free. Once all 4 bolts are out, little wiggle, and just like that, she is free.
Bring it out, and we're gonna have to pull out these O2 sensors. So put this pipe off to the side,
and we'll get ready for some reassembly. Looking in there, you can see my exhaust gaskets are brand new, like literally brand new. If yours aren't, I would highly suggest you replace them. All you would have to do is slide a hook pick in there and then hook pick those old gaskets out. Well, might as well show you guys. I bought some new gaskets. Let's see if I can get my light balanced on my hand. So yeah, literally get between the head and the gasket with a hook pick, sink it down like that, and then pull out. And then when you do, just like that, out comes the gasket. Slip the new one in.
go ahead, squeeze the new one in. You'll see that one side is beveled on the inside. Make sure that the beveled side, the one with the bevel that tapers bigger, is aimed towards the exhaust. And well, you can see here, see how it's thicker here, thinner here? Thicker end goes into the engine, thinner side faces exhaust.
When setting it in, push evenly. Like, there's absolutely no way I could film doing this. All it was is I literally pushed it in evenly, and then one part of it did stick out a little bit. So what I did is I started not in the center, but I worked around the edge and then worked around the edge to the center. So I worked around both sides of it and then worked my way into the center that was sticking out upmost, and then it went in. After you've done that, it's all good. Hey, good job. You did it, Paw 5. Leaving me hanging? Gonna go for it? Thank you. Over this part of the video, or am I? I guess I will. As you can see, I put the 2 stop cans there. These are the new pipes. So far, I think it's gonna look pretty sick. We're gonna have to wait until it's in to know for sure, but for right now, let's go ahead and get this started. We're gonna need this packet of screws because we're gonna need this never seize right here. You can use that on your O2 bungs when we put them into here. Warning, we call this stuff Tin Man because whatever it gets put onto is gonna be that color for the rest of its life. So be very careful, only cut that small hole, and you're gonna put this all over the threads when we do that part. But before we do that, grab these 2 brackets. We're gonna go bolt this in where we removed the other one. I'll show you how. Just let me get those 2 bolts ready. Grab those 2 bolts, put them back in, and crank them nice and tight. With one hand if you want. Don't go too He-Man. Of course, you don't want to strip it out. You just want them in there real good. And if you're really worried about them, throw a little bit of blue Loctite on them. After you've done that, now we open our hardware kit. You're gonna see this one. It's gonna have the bolt. We're gonna have a washer. We're gonna have another washer and a flange nut right here, which is gonna lock up. So give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna set up my tripod so I can show you me putting it on. Just on here, just like that. And one more right there. Now that we know that's on there, biggest bolt in the package, washer. This piece goes through, add another washer. So washer on each side, bolt, washer, piece, washer. Goes right here. Next, this little flare nut. Go ahead and put it on. We're gonna bring it down. Do not tighten that flare nut down. You want to leave it loose until, or snug as I should say, until the end. What's going to happen is we're going to bolt our exhaust pipes here, and then we'll adjust it for those exhaust pipes, how far we want it in and out. If you go and crank it now, then
you'll have to loosen it later. Passenger side foot peg, we need to transfer it over. As you can see, we've got hook pick. All you gotta do is hook pick it and just like that, slide the pin out. After you get the pin out, slide the peg out with this. After you do that, look at that, another Torx bolt. I'll get you the size of that and we're gonna pull that bolt right out of the center in there. If you look at these, see how they have this inset? That's the only way it's getting in. And I could only get a T40 in there. It still did the job. It's kind of a loose fit, but it's unfortunately the only one with a nub that was small enough to fit in that hole. I mean, it worked and it didn't feel like it was gonna strip, so I guess that's the key. Let's loosen that off and we'll put it there. And you gotta tighten this up the last little bit. I would say start it at about 6 o'clock. So that way when you finish and you tighten it, you're at about 10. Actually, that's still, you might even want to clock her back. Go all the way back to even right here. Let's see where we end up this time. Let's see, we're at there. Right about there. Perfect. Okay. And then, after we do that, here's our peg. Make sure it goes straight up. Clock this back to right here. We're gonna wiggle that back in, just like so. Slide our pin downward, just like that. Time to put our clip back in. This clip, you're just gonna put it right here, and then very carefully, with a pair of needle nose if you'd like, go ahead. First make sure they're on the track, and come in. Nice and slow. There. And it's in. Now that we've got that figured out, now we can start on the exhaust pipes. Let's go transfer some O2s. Now, if you have the O2 tool, which is what I would normally say to use, go ahead and use it. These pipes are so new, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get this off with a 17 mil. Again, if I had the option, I would just use the O2 tool, but these are fresh, like, I can get these off, no problem. Heck, look at this. My Never Sees is probably still on there, no problem. So, I'm still gonna swap out the Never Sees, but go ahead and just do that. Once you get these O2 sensors out, we'll put them into the new pipes here in a second. For this bike, these O2s are very tiny. So these are gonna go into here. So we have to put these bungs in. So just go ahead and throw these on. Some people will be like, what? You're not gonna use any Loctite? These are gonna get so hot that even if you put red Loctite on here, I'm telling you now, these would just burn off the Loctite. There's absolutely no point, don't do it. You wanna waste the time and try, go ahead, I'm not. Make sure that you backspin these too if they try to catch. These are going to have the paint and stuff in there, so they could be a little bit tighter. We're going to try and, I'm just going to try and tighten this a little bit. Yeah, there we go. By the way, this is a 22 mil socket. And again, I'm not really going to do much with this one because when we put these in, it's going to tighten that one as well. If you're really worried about it, all you got to really do is pop this bad boy on, put it to on, and give it a little bit of a crank. But nothing crazy. See how I'm holding up on the top of the wrench? Because if you start heaving in this, you can put too much pressure on the welds. You could do a couple little things that you don't want to do. So move the Tin Man away from the tip. And then from there, cut this off right at the tip. From there, on this thread, you're going to bring it up, and right on the thread is put the never cease. You don't need much, but I still like to cake a little bit on. Keep fingers away and definitely keep it away from the parts. If you have shop rigs afterwards, that's what you're going to want to do, is wipe off any residue if there is any, because like I said, you get that stuff on something, it's not coming off. Oh, dog hair, great. Wonder where that came from, Meeks. There we go. Then again, the heat of this exhaust is going to forge this in anyway. We don't want to strip out our bung. We just want it nice and tight like that. You can see how I'm supporting the pipe and then going and reaching up here. Do not go He-manning once again. If you strip it out, that's all. That's all your brain will think. You'll be like, man, why did I He-man? This isn't really structural. It's a little sensor. Just like that. If you're wondering, why else is he wearing gloves? Well, I'm also wearing gloves because that way I don't put my gnarly fingerprints all over these, because we're definitely going to want to clean off any fingerprints you put on your exhaust. Alright, I'm happy with that. 2 O2 sensors installed. So this is how to do it. Walk it. So you bring it to the very edge, walk it over the edge of the ring like that, walk this side over, or even just do this. Pull this side just over that, just like so. As you can see, this side faces exhaust tip. We're going to pull it off of here like this, flip it around immediately, and put it on like this. After we do that, we're going to walk this side over the tip. So, after you've made sure that is just the way it should be, we put that tip just like how it was on this side of the pipe, and then we're going to work this one back around how we took it off. It's annoying, as I'm sure you will find out too. Come on, there we go. Not too worried about this area scratching, because that's going into the motor. And that will come up to here. Once you've got this small guy here, I'm just going to take this and put it up here. And after you do that, lightly put in those 2 bolts if you can reach them. If not, might have to go get your socket. See if we can at least get one of these bad boys on. Always fun when dealing with new gaskets. Oh, I got the first one. All right, before I get that second one in, the next thing I want to do is just line this up with our hole. And the reason why, so I just want to make sure we're on camera here. No, we're not. See, that's why I wanted to check. So if I go right here, you'll see this is our bracket we put on, but not all the way. You're going to want screw, spring nut, and washer. I'm going to bend this away a little bit, and we're going to bring this in from behind, and we're going to lightly screw it into that hole that's on the back of the exhaust tip. But once again, don't tighten anything down yet. Just want to get it started. There we go. Okay, now that that's started, we can get another one of these exhaust nuts on. Very, very tight fit. So these two must be loose and you can, it's just snugged up. It's not that it's loose, but it allows you to twist this pipe up and out of the way a little bit. And this one comes in, sucks up nice and close to that one. And then we try and get this to line up down here. Oh, maybe. Perfect. All right. So now that we have those two finally where they want to be, you can see it looks really clean cut. I'll show you this in the end, but they literally taper together. It looks pretty sweet. So now that those two come down and line up like that, you have two options. I would probably snug these bolts up. Do not tighten them, but snug them up. And then from here, now that we've got these bolts, yeah, that's tight enough for right now. We're going to go ahead and torque these guys down. And torquing these guys down, make sure our wrench is on. Come in here and a little bit there. Come down and over here. Just like that. Come back up here. We're just constantly rotating. Until right about there. Right about there. Perfect. That's about as tight as they were when we took them off. Now remember, this is your tricky side. You have to get this bolt from up here, which is easy. Okay, stop there. And then we're going to put that little wiggly extension piece on right here. Right here, 13 mil. Bring this box wrench in from behind. Go ahead and crank these guys down. This one was obviously a lot looser than the other side. Gosh, these look cool. I'll give them that. There we go. That's nice and tight. Now the last but not least bolt will be this bottom one. You put a box wrench on one side, on the bottom, and then ratchet it here. Go ahead and crank them down. There we go. Lock. Wrench should hold it in. Right here, just plug that oxygen sensor back in right here. That one doesn't change. Now, if you remember, this one is aiming towards the front of the bike. What we need to do is rotate it until it aims straight up. And after it does aim straight up, you can weave it in and over here and click it in from right here. If you want, actually bring this in behind this sensor. Looks a little cleaner that way. And then just bring it down and sink it onto there. Well, Mika, let's take a second and admire those pipes. You did a good job. It's a really good install. That looks awesome. I like the flow. I like your flow, dog. I guess the only thing really to go now is let's start it up. I'm gonna have to wait until morning though, because it's 11 o'clock. If I start this bike right now, I'm gonna have some angry people. All right, let's go ahead and test fire these new pipes. First thing, turn your kill switch on. Make sure you're neutral. Wait till all these lights go out. Perfect. If you're not in neutral, don't start. That bit of smoke you're seeing right now is, well, one, the Never Season 2, just a little bit of residue from the cleaners I used. Before I started the bike, I wiped these pipes down, which make sure you do, because if you leave oily fingerprints, they could bake into the paint. You don't want that, of course. So you can clean it with glass cleaner, or if you have some detailing cleaner for on the spot, go ahead and do it. And like I said, don't be alarmed if you see some smoke coming off your pipes. There's going to be residue from the factory. But that's it. That's how you put the exhaust on. Stay tuned for more videos. One of them will be actually tuning the bike. Why? Because we switched the exhaust. From Harley, they come a bit lean. And the problem is if you go ahead and you leave it on the factory tune, you could have some issues with your air to fuel mixture. So I would really suggest that you end up tuning it. Stay tuned for that video. I'm also going to be switching a couple more chrome pieces out, like these handlebars are going to be switching out right here. These brake and the clutch handle. on the handlebars. I'm also going to be doing flush mounts here, so they're going to sit right there rather than these big, huge signals hanging off of here. I might even do some new mirrors. I haven't really seen any that I'm quite keen on yet. We will see. And we've got something that we'll do here, whether we delete these or put little flush mounts here. Little things. But the next video will be tuning. Thanks again for watching.